their imaginations danced. Can you see them along the road? Women leaping for joy. The Samaritan woman with a heart filled with gratitude. A crippled woman who can now stand straight for the first time in 18 years. A blind guy followed Jesus all the way from Jericho to be there when he came down that city street. Nicodemus, the rich young ruler, the laborers, the prodigal son and his brother, the vineyard keeper, and Mary and Martha and Lazarus, the centurion and his daughter. Can't you see them lining the streets? I hope you can, because if you can see them, you can see yourself. If you can see them, you can see yourself. Because together, we're just like them. We've been disappointed in life. We've been broken. We've been lost. We know grief. We know suffering. We know what it's like not to have a job. We know what it feels like to have our house foreclosed. We know what it's like to have loved ones so far away from us, we don't know how we'll ever connect again. We know what it's like to be bent over. We see them and us and we and them. And friends, this parade is for us. It's for you and I. Blessed is he who comes, the King in God's name. All's well with them. Glory in the high places. And so we throw our cloaks on the road, not the ones made with linen and silk. We throw down our tattered shawls and our dusty overcoats and our sweat-stained rags, because this is no empire king that's coming. This is Jesus, King of the oppressed, King of the marginalized, King of those who have no hope, King of the suffering, King of the confused. He has shared our hardships, relieved our suffering, and embodied God's love for us. Blessed is he, because he has blessed us. He loves you. He loves us. Yes, he even loves me. Truth is, life is filled with unfulfilled expectations. The might have beens. And it can be so hard believing that this God loves even me or you. It can be so hard to believe that God does not give up on our expectations. It can be so hard to believe that Jesus died so that we might know life. You see, friends, to me this day is a day of acclamation and hope. This is a day of blessing. This is a day of self-reflection and revelation. Because Jesus didn't come as a conquering emperor king. Jesus came for you and I. Sometimes we're disappointed when the emperor king doesn't show up. Because it's so much easier to deal with an emperor king. We think the economy's going to get better. We think we're going to find jobs. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. We can sort of pin the blame on the emperor king when it doesn't work out. But God was doing something new and powerful and wonderful through Jesus. We need to suspend our reality for a minute and let the imaginations of our souls expect this personal God, this Jesus, to transform each and every one of our lives. Ever been in one of those situations where what you had hoped for didn't turn out as expected? Well, just ask the disciples. Those lining the streets. Maybe the person sitting next to you. It does happen. Let's be realistic. Sometimes it happens not because God has disappointed us, but we have determined the outcome before the picture has been developed. I think one of the not saddest, I don't mean that saddest, but one of the unfortunate things that so many of our young people will never know is what it means to take a Polaroid picture. Because you take the picture and you see it in your mind's eye and you're flipping it back and forth, and all of a sudden it isn't what you thought it was. Sometimes what we think God is doing isn't fully seen until the picture is developed. So what do we do on this day of entrance, this day of prophecy fulfilled, this parade day, knowing Jesus, as Jesus did, that in a few days he would be betrayed and ridiculed and beaten and judged and hung on the cross to die? Well, may I suggest to you that, as I told Bill, that one of the things we do on Palm Sunday, even though it's so very hard, is to continue to live in the hope and promise that Jesus lives within us and lives for us. May I suggest to you that we embrace that the Messiah is not only coming, but the Messiah is among us. May I suggest to us that we shouldn't just sit back in our chairs and watch the parade go by, but be part of that strong and historic and faithful Christian legacy and witness that brings Jesus to life to those that don't know him. May I suggest that we cast even our hopes and dreams and hopes and anger and loneliness and palms and fear and yes, even our expectations before Jesus and see what develops out of it. And may I suggest that we listen and that we look with new eyes. Sometimes what we hope for isn't what we expect. Sometimes what we hope for is more than we can ever imagine. Are you with me? Can you hear it? Can you see him coming down the road? Jesus, the one who is more than we could ever expect. Blessed is he who comes, the King in God's name. All is well in heaven. Glory in the high places. Thanks